All right. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am your father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah. That's really what this is gonna be about. All right, you're looking live at Fast Cast Father and Son Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, and I'm joined with my dad, Cowboy Joe, also known as Cowboy Joe 64 on Twitter, and we are live with our Tuesday night live after roster cuts. Hey, turn your camera on. I can't see you.
Okay, hold on.
So Cowboys made their roster cuts, y'all. So I mean, some of us are excited about the roster cuts, and some of us are kind of scratching our head a little bit. I'm kind of in between both, actually. It's a few people on the roster that I would have liked to seen make the roster. Well, few people on the roster that I would not like to see make the roster, and it's a few people that got cut that I would like to have seen make it instead of those people. Uh, just off top, I really wanted Trayshawn. I really wanted Holden to make it. Holden didn't make it, but Flournoy did. So I guess, retribution style. I mean, I guess we can look at like, hey, Flournoy really wasn't involved in the offense last year, and we felt like he could have been a piece of the offense last year. So uh, maybe him making it, maybe he will be a part of the offense, being that he made it, and he really had a standout camp. I mean, after camp, he was really during camp, the little bit that he did play, he was able to make do with his time. I mean, he looked like he was playing the part. Um, I see Mozzie made it. Uh, uh, Schoon made it. We was hearing rumblings about them both being cut. So the fact that they made it, I wasn't too excited about that because I'm looking for, especially after seeing the documentary and seeing how cutthroat Jimmy was and how cutthroat the other coaches, the dominant type A
So
personality
you
coaches
did
are.
you did watch the documentary?
Yeah, I did. I finished it.
Okay, well let's
It's,
get your thoughts on that.
I mean, what are you what would you like me to speak about?
Well, as it relates to the cuts that you just saw.
Well, like I said, with Jimmy, it was just clear that he was a different kind of coach. I mean, like I said, after watching that documentary, I wouldn't want any other I would not be able to hire a coach if he didn't possess that type of mentality. I wouldn't be able to do it. And then I wouldn't be able to do it unless the players on my team possess the type of mentality of the playmaker and Emmett and Troy. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would have to. I, that would be my fault. My fault on my team would be that I pick these players that have this type of DNA, or I pick this coach that is just as has this type of personality. That's the only thing I would do. And like I said, I can name a couple coaches right now that I think have that in them. Like I'm talking about the Hardballs. I'm talking about well, I named them yesterday. Hardball, I think had some of that in him. Um, shoot, who else did I name? Who else did I name last night? I said
Well,
Hardball,
obviously Belichick, but he's retired.
right? Belichick. Well, Belichick, yeah, Belichick. I thought Belichick was coaching in college.
He is.
Well, they didn't even call him at all. So that's what I'm saying. I would have called him Belichick. Uh, what's the guy that coached the Patriots right now?
Um, his name escapes me at the moment, but I know who you're talking
Peyton
about.
Harbaugh, Vrabel, those kind
Yeah,
of guys,
Mike
Parson.
Vrabel. Yeah.
Those kind of guys are the kind of guys that I would want those type of personalities on my team. Dan Campbell, I would have, and those type of personalities are the type of personalities that I would make them. I would say, hey, I'm paying you to come here and do this. With this franchise needs the new Jimmy Johnson, the new Tom Landry. We need that coach that's going to change our entire team and get us over the hump. And if you go look for that coach, you can find him. But it ain't Shoddy, and it ain't these other guys that you brought in. It could be Shoddy. We don't know. It could be, but we don't know. But for me, just my first, So another thing with the documentary, I seen that Steven and Charlotte and what's the daughter's name? Um
Charlotte is the daughter,
what's the wife name?
Jean.
Jean, they were more involved with the Cowboys than I thought they were. And then it's just like with Steven, it's just like it's easy to see how Steven can be how he is today. Cause it's just like you really didn't have to do anything because your dad was your dad. So you really didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to, and if you were going to do something, you were going to learn from him. So you are him. You are a spitting image of him. You don't do anything different. I mean, well, my hope is that Steven can just have an awakening and say, okay, my dad is kind of fading out. It's time for me to change things up. That's the only hope we got. Because if you're gonna keep it going like this and keep the philosophies that you've had, no doubt Jerry Jones, but this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Jerry Jones definitely uh is a good spokesman for the NFL. He's a good owner when it comes to NFL policy and marketing marketing shares and making sure that
He
all the
he
teams
he,
make money and stuff. But
he made all of the owners much
oh,
more richer than they were.
he is the NFL. The NFL, the
Yeah.
way it is today, is because of him. You wouldn't see Nike everywhere. You wouldn't see all of the sponsors. You wouldn't see AT&T on the stadium, and it makes sense, So he kicked the door down and he did that. But when it comes to the actual football program, he didn't do anything besides say, "Hey, I want these top tier guys, and I'll pay them," because Jimmy was the one that drafted these that put together the Herschel Walker trade. And then so the Herschel Walker trade, they kept arguing about that, saying that it was both of them. Yeah, they both did it. Who cares? They both did it. That's wonderful. But the bottom line is you can't replicate that in today's NFL. So what that means is that Jerry, if you did it without Jimmy, then you should be able to do it again, but you cannot. And then Jimmy, if you did it by yourself, you should have been able to replicate it again, but you could not. So y'all were only great with each other. So we can't say who was what. Y'all were great with each other, and it went just like it was supposed to go. Now, when it fell off, it fell off, and when it fell off, we haven't had peanut butter and jelly yet since then, because that's what it
Well,
was. It was just a great duo. But since then, that hasn't been. Since then, everything has been totally jacked up the way that they do
so in the
things.
documentary, how much credit did they give Jerry for actual team building, or was it more like the marketing spin?
It was zero team building.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jerry even said it himself. He said that it's not about the X's and O's. It's
Yeah.
about it's not about the X's and O's. It's about personalities and all of this. It's what he said, and it's just
So,
like
so go ahead.
he said that out of his own mouth, that it wasn't about X's and O's. And then Steven said, he was talking to Steven when he said that. And then Steven said, well, I used to think that, but now I'm starting to think it's about X's and O's.
Hmm. He's now thinking that it's about X's and O's.
That's what he said. Steven, yeah, he said Steven was just because Jerry was talking to Steven in Steven's office. When Jerry said that, I don't think winning championships is about X's and O's. And Steven was just like, well, I used to think that, but now I'm starting to think it is about X's and O's. And so that gave that a good spin to me. Like, if you have a owner of a football team telling you that you don't think winning and coaching is about X's and O's, and you got a problem. Because it's just like, man, that's something crazy to say. But Jerry, it just shows that Jerry is a wildcat, and he is everything that we think he is. But the problem with fans is that we haven't won anything in 30 years. And the reason why we haven't won is because the football side of the program is jacked up. They don't do
Yeah.
anything right. They don't do things right. And the things
Well,
that
the time
where
they spent with Jimmy, they didn't really learn and implement the things that he did, and also they could have looked at other teams like the Ravens, the Chiefs. So we've talked about this 100 million times on our show. How as a company, when you see another company doing great things, you go out and collaborate with them. Jimmy, I was watching a documentary that Jimmy did.
mhm,
He was talking about all of the coaches and the CEOs of different companies that come down to his boat, and they just spend a weekend with him,
mhm.
and they just get all of the knowledge.
Well,
Well,
I
they
would
had
say
they
this.
had Jimmy inside the building.
Mhm.
They didn't use any of his knowledge, and when he left, they didn't do anything. So that's the problem.
Yeah, they didn't hire any of his coaches that he had on his staff. You
They
know,
didn't.
but the thing is like this. Like I said, the only thing that they did that the reason why they got the that third championship with Barry is because Troy and that they were still running the team like Jimmy would have. But the thing is, I don't think that you can replicate it. I don't think that you can replicate what Jimmy did after he left. I don't think you could have done that. I think what you would have had to do is the thing that would have got them over the hump if they would have did what someone like Jimmy would do. Jimmy would have had the team and Jimmy would have said, okay, it's the salary cap era. So now we need to do this in order to win. And he would have been the person that was being innovative
Now,
like the Eagles and the Chiefs. You
I
see,
do
but
have a
they didn't
couple of
adapt.
yeah, I do have a couple of things that we can talk about in the show. I can tell you
What's that?
exactly how they could have replicated it, and you kind of touched on it. So, and we'll talk about the whole thing in another show and get back to the cuss. But the first thing that he should have done if he was smarter is he should have hired the coaches, one of Jimmy's better coaches off the staff, and it would have been either Norv Turner or Butch
They named
Davis,
them. They named them, and they
and
talked about that in the
and
documentary. They was just like he should have. They said what they said.
and that was a huge mistake. Um, and so by him not doing that, basically he did it on purpose. He didn't want to replicate what anything that Jimmy did. And by the way, he hasn't really wanted to replicate what the Kansas City Chiefs, the Eagles, what's happening with Detroit now. He doesn't want to replicate
Yeah,
that either.
and that's more
And
what. Go ahead.
I want to, yeah, and I want to tell the people that's watching our show, I'm in a different situation
Yeah.
here, not in my studio, so we're
Oh
doing
yeah.
dog sitting, and so I'm having to move around with the little dog, and so appreciate you guys' patience. You can hear him barking now. Hey, so do you have a way of doing my background different?
Uh,
And I don't know how do I put my phone on mute
you just tap the
doing this?
microphone button. You just tap it, and it should mute you.
I don't. Okay, let me see.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I got it
and
now.
to kind of
But
piggyback what you were saying,
but
like I think that like
mhm.
I said, when you, I don't want everybody to just keep really what I want to do is like I'm gonna make a I'm gonna start putting out there that they haven't won a second playoff game in the salary cap era. So what I want people to understand is I don't want us to keep magnifying this Jerry Jimmy situation because Jerry and Jimmy, let's just say the Cowboys won 5 Super Bowls in a row. Let's say they won 5 or 6 Super Bowls in a row, like Chicago. Let's say they won like Chicago did, right? And then let's just say Jimmy and Jerry go off in the sunset, and Jerry go off in the sunset, and every
What do you
like
mean like Chicago
yeah.
did? You talking about the Bulls?
So
Oh, okay.
you know, let's just say that Jerry and Jimmy won 6 championships. Let's just say that, and then let's just say that Jerry and uh, Jimmy went his own way and Jerry went his own way, and they went their own way, and it was perfect harmony, perfect chaos. They just decided that we're gonna just go a different ways. The Cowboys would have lost every game. I mean, would have lost every season since then, and it wouldn't have been because Jimmy left. That's not the reason why they're losing. The reason why they're losing, it doesn't matter if Jimmy was the coach or not. The way that they run the team over the years has caused them to lose. It doesn't. Jimmy was fine. Jimmy, that's good. They won with Jimmy, but the way that you run an NFL organization in 1990 is not how you run an NFL organization in 2010. So it doesn't matter that this or that. It's just like they have not adapted to the way the things are. When you a business, like let's just use the company FedEx. Are you aware that you flipped your camera? Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Let's just say when you use the company FedEx, they don't, they don't, they don't, they don't, they don't have their employees clock in with a time card anymore. Everything is done electronically. They don't have their, you know, they're not shipping overnight with 18 wheelers non-stop. They have planes now. It's like Barack Obama said. Um, we don't use horses and bayonets anymore in the army. We have fighter jets. So it's just like the things that they were doing in the 90s to win, you can't do those things anymore. So let me see. Let me get my dad back on. Okay. Okay, you back. You know how to flip your camera, I think. Or
Okay.
I can see you a little bit, but it's like something's covering it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just so flip your camera. So so hit the camera button and then just hit flip. Uh, I don't know. You didn't flip it,
Can you
but
hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you can just
This
stay
will
like
probably
that.
be better for us to go. Yeah.
All right. So, but what I was saying was, it's just like I can use your company like FedEx. Like FedEx, they don't ship everything using trains and 18 wheelers anymore. They use planes. They don't have their companies. They don't have the companies don't have players and employees clocking in with a physical time card anymore. They use what we call a computer. It's like Obama said, we don't use horses and bayonets anymore. We have fighter jets. And
Mm.
Jerry and them is still using horses and bayonets and railroad trains. It's just like you can't win in the NFL without utilizing free agency at the right time. You just can't. It's just not going to happen. You can't win in the NFL if you constantly waiting to pay your players when it hurts the team the most. You're never going to win doing that. You're never going to win doing that. If the Cowboys have 10 top 10 players for the next 10 years and they wait to pay them on every single contract, they're never going to win. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. If the Cowboys have 10 free agencies next year, I mean within the next 10 years, and they go 4 or 5 of those free agent periods and don't spend a dime, they're never going to win a championship. That will never work. That's just not how you do it anymore. That's just not how it goes. When if they have top players and they try to stall them out and wait like they did Micah, CD, and Dak, it's never gonna work. If you go and hire coaches that say, yeah, this coach has a great personality and I don't have to pay him that much, you're never gonna win. If you have 10 vacancies for the next 10 years and you hire 10 people because of how much you gotta pay them, you'll never have a championship team. You won't even get lucky enough to get one. So the way that they run the team, it just will not work that way unless you get very, 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 very lucky. And we had like teams that could have gotten very lucky, but the obvious thing happened, like the Romo fumble snap. That was a lucky that could have happened. That team was good enough. The Dez drop, the Dez catch, that could have happened. They were good enough. Dak and Green Bay, that team was good enough. But these things happen to where it's just like, hey, you know, something tells me that if you would have utilized free agency, maybe they would have been better the next year. Or maybe if you would have instead of going bargain shopping in the draft and you actually drafted the standout players, then maybe the way that they draft, you're never gonna win a championship drafting like they draft. You know what I'm saying?
So
It's never gonna happen.
they have a formula, a front office operation that has not worked, but they
Mm-mm.
still can't see what they need to do to fix it. And so that's
Yeah,
a major problem. I want to go back to the Cubs today. So you can hear me okay?
yeah.
So the the fact that they cut Izzy and kept Booth, there's still a certain level of goofiness with this franchise, and it's with the scouting department. It's with some coaches that do goofy things. We've seen that over the years. They are the poster child for doing goofy stuff. To have Booth on this roster and to cut Izzy is it's like they've done a lot of really goofy things, but it
And
doesn't
Caitlin
give you a lot of
Carson.
confidence.
And Caitlin Carson.
They kept Kalen Carson, Kate Booth, kept Booth, and cut Izzy.
Now,
But and this is the type of thing that they constantly do.
and then Shotty made a statement today, and he said, because Clarence Hill or somebody asked him, so what do you do? So do you have any say so whatsoever when it comes to who's like cut and who not? Do you
I
don't you do
heard
you?
that.
And then Shotty said, we do this all collectively. When he said that, I was just like,
Well, you
we
were you
do.
surprised?
I'm surprised that he would say that confidently. It's just like, what do you mean you do this collectively? Why do you do
That
this collectively?
this collective things they've been playing that same card for 30 years.
You mean to tell me the guy that drafted you're cutting players with the guy that drafted Schoon sitting next to you? The guy that drafted Mozzie. You're cutting players with him sitting next to you. And you're talking about we do this collectively as a group, the ownership and the front
Well,
office and you.
now
This is terrible.
you got to remember, McCarthy was the Schoon guy.
Well, it doesn't matter. Will
Yeah,
McClay, why was he even on the board to begin with? If
that's
McCarthy
good.
was a Schoon guy, Will McClay should have said, bro, no, you're not a Schoon guy. You're not a Schoon guy. Maybe you're a Laporta guy. Or maybe you are somebody else. Maybe you a Michael Meyer guy. Maybe you a
And,
Dr. Kincaid guy. But you
and
definitely
going
not
back
a
to
Schoonmaker guy.
the documentary, what I've said on our show is, I've talked about this. It's a philosophy of what would Jimmy do, and I've been watching a lot of the '90s games. I watched a documentary on Jimmy last night, uh, and I think I sent it to you and Uncle Keith. Michael Irvin was on one, but the thing that Jimmy did is he always had role players, guys that were not starters, and they would play big roles on the defense. Your Kenny Gants, your Bill Bates, Brock Marion, uh, and so a player like Izzy, a player like Wanye Thomas, who I was afraid they were going to cut today as well. Wanye made it for now, I should say, but the fact that they haven't figured out all these years how to play Izzy, it just speaks to just how poor they are at managing personnel. That interception that Izzy had in that preseason game, they got through that bomb and Izzy caught that interception.
Hmm.
That was a play that puts you in a position to make the team right there, right there.
And then that's
So
not like that's not it's not like he does that in preseason only. He would do that in the game.
yeah, he's been making plays in preseason every preseason that he's played. But
Yeah.
but you
And
put a 53-man roster together and you put Booth on the team and not Izzy, that's just goofy. It's just stupid. It's incompetent. It's
it's
all the
just like,
words that you don't really want to say.
it's just like I said, when you have players like Schoon and Mozzie on your team and you have the chance to cut them and they make the team, this is just not right. It's just like there is no reason for some of these players to be on the team. There's
And they
no
almost
reason.
cut Winfrey.
There's no reason for Andrew Booth to be on our team. It's just not a reason. There's no reason for Mozzie and Schoon to be on our team. There's just not a reason. There is no reason.
They really didn't want to keep Winfrey in Houston. They had to go out of their way to do it. Um, but yeah, this thing with Izzy, and it's just typical of the kind of thing they do. They just don't do a good job of team building, playmakers, guys that'll bring a certain attitude. Izzy plays with a certain flair, a certain swag, a certain
Yeah.
physicality
It's
too.
almost like they don't like that. And then it's like, watching a documentary with Jimmy, those players, they feared Jimmy. This is like a thing like that goes around in the NFL, and I don't want to hear nobody saying that was the '90s. You can't get on a plane after a loss and make your team not eat. Like Jimmy was like, nah, y'all not eating on the way back home. Y'all not eating on the plane ride. Y'all don't deserve food. And and that was a no. I don't want to hear that that was back then, and you can't do that now because it's a lot of teams in the NFL. They don't like all the great coaches. The players never like them until after, the until after it's done.
And that's where I was gonna push back on something that you said is what Jimmy did can't be duplicated.
It can't.
Teams have been duplicating it. That's what Belichick did. That's what Parcells did. That's what Andy Reid is basically doing. And they're just what's happening is, and as I've mentioned before, for you to win a Super Bowl, you got to win it. It's a couple of ways you can win it. You got to have a fire and brimstone, take command of the room guy like Parcells, Jimmy, Landry, Belichick,
Sean
or
Payton, Harbaugh,
Sean Payton, or Harbaugh, or you got to have a
Sean McVay,
genius coach
McVay,
like McVay,
49ers
the
coach,
um, you know Shanahan,
Shanahan.
or you got to have a combination of the two.
We don't
Here's the
have
problem. Here's the
that.
problem for Cowboy fans. Over the last 30 years, those three categories that I gave you, he has not hired a coach that has had that. That's
The
not what
only
Jason Garrett was.
the closest thing that we've got to that is the players that are like that. Like you can see CD going tripping on the sideline, Dez going off on the sideline, Micah
But you got to
going
have a
crazy.
coach.
I mean,
And then the
we
same with
did that.
the coach and assistants. Over the years, Jimmy, Parcells, Belichick, Andy Reid, they have outstanding assistants. His assistant hiring has been poor as well. So the bottom line is, for the last 30 years, you've got Chan Gailey, Jason Garrett, Wade Phillips. Now, he did hire Parcells. I think what Parcells did here is underrated. Uh, Parcells was just older. If he had stayed one more year, I think that team makes it to the Super Bowl. I've said that repeatedly.
Well, I
But
mean, these coaches they're out there. You know what I'm saying? And they don't
he
never
has not
hire them.
hired him. He had a chance to hire Spagnuolo, the genius coordinator, probably the best in the game with Kansas City.
Hmm.
He passed over him a couple of times to hire Marinelli.
We're gonna know when it happens. We're gonna know when it happens when it's just like the dawn of a new day. When we see that it's a coach that came in and he takes command of the room, and it's just like he walking down the hallway, and it's just like you don't mess with him. We don't have that guy. I said the closest person I can see to even being something like that is like I could see Clayton Adams being some of that, but it's just like I could see Clayton Adams being the total opposite of Shoddy, like the total opposite, like this menacing figure like that's just talking crazy to the players. I can see Clayton Adams doing that, but we'll see. That is yet to be seen. But Shoddy, I just don't feel like Shoddy is that guy. I don't know. He could be a combination of both. He could be a genius. We don't know that yet because we haven't seen him. And like I said, if Shoddy comes out here and our offense looks like it did in 2023, then he will be considered a genius because our offense in 2023 was like they were like unstoppable. Everything they did, but they also had the players. They also had Tony Pollard, Ferg in his prime. They had a lot of people, but they got Pickens now. So if there is a very, very, very high possibility that our offense is going to be like one of the top two or three offenses in the league.
Yeah.
That's not a farce. It's like, yeah, no, Dak, CD, Pickens, Blue, Ferg, they can
So
really, really tear up the league. But our defense,
yeah.
I really don't know
So
nothing about that.
we got a lot of content we got to do. I think what we got to be concerned about with our defense, I believe we could be looking at a Mike Nolan situation. I hope I'm wrong, but it's a lot of where there's smoke, there's fire. So we'll come back to that here in a second.
People keep
And
talking about this stat though. This stat is saying that literally EPA Cowboys are the worst when Michael's not there, and they're the best when he is. So I don't
well, we're
know.
gonna see. So back on the cuts. So
So he dropped off again. So let's see. Back. Let's see on the cuts. So the 53 man roster, I got it pulled up. So it's Prescott, Milton, Williams, Sanders. Like Sanders being on a team. Why is Sanders on a team? Why did they cut? Why did they cut? Uh, not Deuce, but Malik Davis and keep Sanders. I don't understand that. Jaden Blue, Phil Mafra, Hunter Lukey, CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, Tolbert, Turpin, Flournoy, Ferguson, Schoonmaker, Spanford. I don't understand the whole Schoonmaker thing. What has he done? Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Booker, Terrence Steele, Nate Thomas, Brock Hoffman, TJ Bass, Ajanai, Cornelius. Then they got Micah, Dante Fowler, Sam Williams. Sam Williams, man. I mean, from what I'm hearing in camp, they say Sam Williams is not looking good. Brian Broader say he not looking good. A lot of the content creators is saying Sam not looking good. So they saying that he should be trade bait. And I agree. Uh Marshawn Nealon, Izaraku, James Houston made it. That was a good thing. Osa, Solomon Thomas, Mozzie. I don't know why Mozzie is I don't know why they was talking about Jerry was going for Mozzie. They were saying that Jerry was going to bat for Mozzie. And I'm just like, so what that Jerry is going to bat for Mozzie? So I'm reading the list. So you want to say what you were saying about it?
Got me back.
What was you saying about the cuts?
So what I was saying, shout out to Vach. What Vach has said is that teams like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, when they draft, when they put their teams together, they're always looking to push players down on the roster.
Right.
Howie Roseman is good at this. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
So Howie, he's always looking to push players down. Now Jimmy, going back to your documentary, that's what Jimmy always did. Jimmy would threaten Nate Newton. He would tell other players that this camp that we're getting ready to start, your job is on the line because this guy over here across the room, he's here to take your job. James Washington should have been the MVP of Super Bowl 28. He was a starting safety. Cowboys drafted Darren Wilson. They
Hmm.
drafted Darren Wilson to push James Washington down the roster. He was livid. He was mad. James Washington, he was just a good player, a playmaker, key member of the team, key member in the locker room. But what
Hmm.
happened was they brought Darren Wilson in, and so the second year that Wilson was there, they just put Wilson in the starting lineup and told James Washington he's taking over your spot. But you know what Jimmy told him?
What?
He told James Washington, "You're still going to play. You're still going to be involved, and that's what I expect you to do. I expect you to be involved and play well." Well, when you go back and watch the game, James Washington wasn't starting, but he played, and in the Super Bowl, he really should have been the MVP along with Emmett. But I
They
said
was
all of that to say this.
they were
Huh?
saying that they were saying that in a documentary. They were saying that it should have been him instead of Emmett.
Well, when you watch the game, it could have went either way. But but Jimmy, uh, the Eagles, um, scouts, they always look to push players down. So going back to our cuss today, what the Cowboys should have been doing, they should have figured out a way to push Jalen Tolbert and I believe Mingo down this roster, and they would have done it with Flournoy and Holden. I just cannot believe that they did not try to trade Jalen Tolbert. He's on the last year of his contract. They cut Holden. Holden and Flournoy should have made the roster by pushing Jalen Tolbert down. And Mingo is on IR now. I heard someone today, yeah, I think it was Brian Broaddus. You know what Brian Broaddus said?
What's that?
He said it wouldn't even shock him when Mingo is ready to come back off IR if he would have a job. And so I'm saying that if Jimmy was the coach, Flournoy and Holden would have made this team. Tolbert would have been traded or cut, and
And I don't
Mingo
want
would
to
have been the
hear
guy.
and I don't want to hear anything about this. You got to be able to play on special teams. I don't want to hear that
No. Well,
because that's what
Holden,
that's what they're gonna say. Oh, he couldn't play on special teams, so
well, Flournoy is doing it. I don't even know if Holden got a fair shot to play special teams. I didn't see him out there,
Well,
playing.
none of them got fair shots because Joe Milton was just stinking up the joint the whole preseason.
But I'm
And
talking about the special teams thing.
well, I'm just saying none of them got a fair shot to even show what they could do without special teams. But Swain, shout out to you, Swain, and he said, "What did Solomon Thomas do to get the green light? But just be a veteran. That's all. He's a veteran, so he didn't play any. He's a veteran, and so that they
He
fully
wasn't he wasn't better than Winfrey, and Winfrey barely made it.
they fully expect for him to solve our DT problem. The way they pumping him up, they pumping
He's not
him
that
up,
guy.
and they pumping Winfrey up like that. They pumping
You gotta understand. Solomon plays the same position that Osa Digizua plays.
yeah, the three
So
techs.
Osa is the guy.
Yeah, but they gonna have Solomon Thomas on the. I'm thinking what they gonna do. They gonna have to have what Mozzie and then Solomon Thomas and Osa on the field, right?
I listened to Boss Cowboy show tonight. Shout out to Boss. I didn't get to hear the very tail end of it, but he
Shout
was
out to
talking
Boss.
about how he was talking about how these three techniques
Yeah.
over a 17 game season, if that's their philosophy, they're gonna get smoked
Oh man, look, it's
just
they
by
gonna get
just by the
smoked.
law of physics.
I told you my philosophy. What I think gonna happen is I think that this is gonna be a good team, but the defense is gonna get us killed. And next year they're gonna have a new defensive coordinator. It's gonna be 4 years in a row.
Or are we gonna be Mike Nolan level bad? That's my concern.
I don't think so because I think that we're gonna be out on so many teams that it's not gonna be that you're really not gonna get a really good look at the defense because it's gonna be a lot of games that you're not gonna get to look at them because they're not gonna be running the ball like that because we're gonna be ahead by 2 touchdowns, and then that's gonna come to bite us in the end like it always does because when what's up, big time? That's gonna come to bite us in the end when it comes because it's gonna be like the teams that you can't get ahead of and the teams that's gonna run the ball out physical you, run it down your throat. You're not gonna be able to do nothing against those teams. Like that's all it's gonna take is for a team to get up and have to run the ball on you, and you're gonna with these three techniques that you got out here, that ain't gonna work.
And
And what's
and
gonna
it's
happen
some
is you're gonna get
mm,
these
but-
three techs hurt. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get them hurt, and they're gonna be
but-
overplayed. Our linebackers are gonna be overplayed, and they're
yep.
gonna be hurt. So
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Boss touched on. But yeah, this defense, and from day one, I've never felt good about this scheme. I believe the coach was hired because of the salary and his scheme. Now what we're in now, you remember the thing we had a couple of years ago where we were under the impression that Dan Quinn didn't really want linebackers. He was playing Bell. We found
yeah,
out after the fact that he really wanted Bobby Wagner, and the front office refused to sign him.
yeah,
So now, what we got to do as content creators, big time show, Boss, Sky, all those content creators, B Bird is in the space now. We got to figure out who's calling the shots on this defense. Is the front office calling the shot in terms of they really don't want a one technique like they didn't want Bobby Wagner? Or is it Eberflus that's telling the front office he don't need a one tech?
like
What,
since what you saying that this like I watched a documentary and North said something very important, and it just clicked in my head just now. So North said we did the opposite of what everybody else wanted to do. So basically, if it was a team that, and he said this, and it went all the way down the line. If it was a team that passed the ball, I mean, that could stop the pass, we ran the ball a lot. And if it was a team that could stop the run, we gassed you with slants with Michael Irvin. We did everything the opposite. And so the NFL over the years, this has become a passing league. So what these teams did was in the last few years, what they've done is they have the linebackers have gotten more more lighter. The linebackers have gotten more I forget the word I'm looking for, but the linebackers are looking like safeties and the safeties are looking like linebackers, and they've gotten more what's the word I'm looking for, where you have the dual where the linebackers are not big stout linebackers anymore because they have to
You
cover.
talking about hybrids?
Yeah, so the league has gotten to more hybrid. Well, a couple teams last year, what they did was they got smart and said, okay, well these hybrid teams, since the majority of these teams are hybrid teams, what we gonna do is we gonna put a 350-pound guard on you, and then we gonna run the ball down your throat with an explosive running back that can take it to the house. So y'all built to stop the pass, and this whole NFL is really. And so we're gonna run the ball down your throat. See, but what I said all that to say this. What they did, what Jimmy and Norv did, and what the Cowboys and what the good teams do is they adapt. They adapt. They change. They change. They say, okay, they think ahead of the curve. They say, okay, the league is going to more passing. So we're gonna run it. We're gonna do that. Instead of us going out and getting the best cornerbacks that we can find and getting these hybrid linebackers that we can find, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go get um we're gonna go get the best running back we can find and the best guard and tackle we can find, and we're gonna just run it down these teams' throat. And then also with the other teams that are good that are thinking ahead of the curve, they say, aha. So these teams like the Eagles and the Ravens think that they're gonna run it down our throat. So what we're gonna do is, being the Kansas City Chiefs, what we're gonna do is we're gonna invest in top-notch defensive tackles. We're going to invest in top-notch linebackers. See, they adapt,
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
change their philosophies, and they change. The Cowboys do not
Okay.
change. They get
So,
to the first of all, they get to the trend late, and then
yeah.
once they get to the trend, the other teams are already past the trend and already thinking ahead. They get to the trend late, and then they don't change the trend after they get to it as if it's gonna work. Like for instance, like they're just now understanding that this is a two wide receiver NFL. Like they just now got it. Like we could have
Yeah.
had the chance to be above the curve when we had Amari Cooper and CD, but they
Yeah.
just couldn't see it. And now, all these years later, every team is doing this. T. Higgins just got a huge contract. All these teams are doing this, and now y'all want to do it. But now y'all still behind the eight ball
So,
when it
yeah.
comes
So,
to the defense. Hold on, let me see what Big Time said. He said we still have the same questions that we had at the very beginning of the offseason. DTs and running
yeah.
backs. You
So, so,
cannot argue that. That is 1,000% correct.
so here's the thing that you hit the nail, hit the hammer on the nail, whatever the phrase is. Losing my train of thought. Okay. So what you just said right there, um, the problem with our team, with our organization, is they are not adapting. What they're doing,
Mm,
teams that are lining up with big physical line and offensive tackles with big running backs that are running the ball down your throat. The Cowboys are going with smaller linemen and they're trying to do smaller linebackers.
mhm.
So they're not adapting.
Right.
And so that's the problem.
That's the
That's
problem.
why that and one of the issues is I don't know what in the world they are thinking. They kind of got on the right track last year going to Zimmer scheme. You know, Zimmer scheme calls
Mm,
for bigger linemen and bigger linebackers.
right.
Well, they decide again to go back to this Rob Marinelli scheme. The Rob Marinelli scheme calls for lighter linemen to run upfield every play.
Mhm.
And then when they do that, these big linemen, these big, strong, fast running backs, the gap that our defensive line, our Solomon Thomas and Winfrey and
Mhm.
Osa that they were in, now you got these big guards and tackles coming down here with the line with the running back.
Just
You
think
you
about this. Think about if Tyler Smith. Think about if Tyler Smith played for another team and he was pulling as a guard. He's pulling to the right, and the first person that he run up against is Damone Clark.
yeah, he's just gonna smoke him.
He gonna break his neck. He gonna smoke him. He gonna straight up dirt.
And these people that are all of a sudden high on Damone Clark, that's exactly what's going to happen when the season starts. See, last year, Damone Clark, they got him elevated up the roster beginning of the season. Well, by game 5 or 6, Zim got him out of there.
We didn't
Now,
even know if he was still on a team. Can you imagine him being in the bullpen with somebody
yeah.
like Brian Urlacher? Just think about Brian Urlacher and think about, you can even
Now,
go that Wynn and Dexter Coakley and think about them and Damone Clark. It's crazy.
now we got one linebacker that's built for this. That's Murray, and then I think Leofow and
Jack,
Sanborn. I'm not so sure, but the bottom line is they're not going to be protected by our defensive line because our
they
defensive
getting upfield,
line they
getting
getting
up.
upfield, they getting turned, and so
If
what?
Big Tom said something the other day that I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was thinking to myself, like, what if like he said something that was that caught my attention the other day about Mozzie. I was saying to myself, I was saying, how hard would it be if I was a defensive line coach today? I would tell Mozzie, say, man, I want you to just go home and eat as much as you can. Just eat and lift and eat and lift and eat and lift. And your only job when the ball is hiked is to just stand straight up. That's your only job. That's your only job. We don't want you moving to the right. We don't want you moving to the left. We don't want you moving front. We don't want you
You
moving
just don't
back.
want we want you to protect this gap and not let anybody through it.
That's all you gotta do is just stand up and just be strong. Stand up and be strong, like power cleaning. Just all you gotta do. So power clean and squat and
Well,
bench. That's
and
all
he
you.
and he needs to occupy two blockers.
That's all you gotta do every play.
But,
And
but
he can.
that's not the defense he's in now.
Well, then that's just the law of physics says that is a negative on your offense on your defensive line. And
And,
then another
and by
thing
the
is this: Jimmy
good.
and the good
Mhm.
coaches, they use their players for what they're good at. This team
Yeah.
doesn't do that. So it's like, why do we have to have a team? If Mozzie is not good at what he's doing, then why don't you just say, okay, well, what are you good at? And do that.
Well, I don't know if you heard Shotty today. He was talking about the interviews that he had when he talked to each player about whether they was making the team or not making the team. I thought it
I
was
mean,
pretty profound what he said about Mozzie. He
want you to be
basically
consistent.
he to me he sounded like he was telling Mozzie, first of all, I'm not even sure you're going to be on the game day roster. He said he said there's a difference between making the team and then making the game day roster. He told Mozzie that he had to be more consistent. So to me, he was telling Mozzie, you it's like you barely made the team. And then
Hmm.
number two, he was telling Mozzie, come Sunday, we don't even know if you're going to be active.
And then he was telling Mozzie, we've seen what you can do, but you ain't been doing it. So we just want to see you be consistent. That's why you's playing all 500 snaps in the game. Is because we want to just see you do what you good at doing, and you haven't done it, son.
Well,
So
going back to the front office, the defense that had him playing in Zimmer's scheme, that's a better scheme for him. Greg Ellis did the interview with DLS. He basically said that Mozzie is in a lot of trouble because what they're finna ask Mozzie to do now is fire off the ball and get upfield. That's not what he
man,
does.
if Mozzie was playing on another team, he'd be good. He'd be average. He'd be better than he is here. If he's playing on the Eagles, if he's playing up against when we're a defensive line to where they not getting up the field and all they doing is taking up space, he'd be all right.
Well, he would be better on another team if he was playing a traditional 4-3
4-3.
scheme. Also, he would be better if he had veteran players around him every day, every week,
It just
not only teaching him the game, but also you got to keep in mind that if he's on another team, he's not really playing like what he did Friday night.
yeah.
You can't have Mozzie playing that many snaps.
No, you can't. He not like that. Mozzie should be like a second or third string to come in and give you all he got, then get up out. Big
Yeah.
Tom was like in comparison, he praised Winfrey. Notice the tone. Oh, he was about to cry at the press conference when he was talking about Winfrey. He said he was getting emotional and he was getting shaken up. And he was like had tears in his eyes talking about that had Winfrey come in and act like they was about to cut
Okay.
him.
So here's a question I got for you in big time. They really need to add a one tech. And
Yeah.
then they're gonna have Diz coming back and some other people. We got
Hmm.
to start looking at who are they gonna cut off this team that made the team today. So Winfrey and Mozzie, they can't get comfortable because if they sign a one tech, unless they gonna cut Booth. But
Or
what do you?
Carson.
Well, I'm pretty sure when Diggs comes back, when Diggs is
Well,
ready to play, they're gonna cut Booth probably then.
they need to be trading Sam Williams. That's what they need to be doing.
They should have traded Sam and Tolbert or tried to. And now we don't know that they didn't, but hadn't heard anything. But Tolbert, he should have absolutely been traded.
So, so it just hurts my soul when, and I'm gonna let Big Time reply to that, and we can log up. We've been on for a long time. We've been on for about an hour. So my
Okay.
thing is, it just hurts my soul every time I hear them say, every time I hear somebody talking about this team, whether it be ESPN or whether it be whoever, they be like, "Oh man, they defensive line, they're gonna be getting after the quarterback." That just hurts my soul because it's just like, yeah, that's exactly what we don't want to hear. Because what we'll see is, yeah, we getting after the quarterback, but we not getting to him. And what they doing is they just running right between them. Like you got your three techs and your defensive ends. They just running up the field
Well,
trying to.
teams are gonna run counters on us,
That's
and
what I'm
they're
saying.
gonna
They
run.
just gonna
They're gonna run
yeah,
screens.
they gonna run misdirections too. Well, the cornerback room is so deep, big time, that I honestly think that they not looking for a cornerback. I don't think they looking for one. I agree that we do need one, but I don't think they looking for one. I think that they're gonna be comfortable with Trayvon, Bland, Kalen Carson, um, and
Kalen Carson is not gonna be ready. Uh,
Andrew Booth, Kyer
well,
Elam. I
it ain't
feel
no
like
win. Look, let me tell you something. If you come out here next Thursday night and you have Andrew Booth on this field at any point in time during the game, I'm turning the game off.
he gonna be out there.
I'm
Because who
telling you
else gonna
right
be out
now.
there? Kyer Elam, Bland, and who else? Because what if it's not Trayvon? It's gonna be
Uh,
Kalen Carson, not ready to
well,
go. So,
you got Childress,
oh yeah, Childress. That's who it's gonna be. It's gonna be Childress gonna be taking booth snaps.
but this is why you shouldn't have cut Izzy.
Well, they did cut Izzy, and then what messed me up about it was they had Izzy playing corner, and then they had Izzy playing safety.
They had him moving around.
But it's just like, why would y'all do that? If you know your spot, if you know you weak at corner and he plays corner, just keep him at corner because Wanye and Bell, they got the safety part. So what do we need to see? We didn't. Why did Izzy need to be playing corner, a spot to
Now
where he like fifth on the depth chart?
something weird happened with Wanye too because Wanye, uh, it was kind of weird how they used him.
I'm thinking that
Uh,
to be honest, I'm thinking that Wanye was like probably like getting in trouble off the field or probably like missing practices or something like that. That's what I think.
And then I heard some content creators talking about how it seemed like Wanye was a little heavier. So I
Yeah.
don't know if he put on like too much muscle or whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is
Hmm.
Wanye Thomas, Izzy, this was their time to shine. They
We
should
need a
have been
corner.
out there.
Yeah, we need a corner.
We need a corner. You got Izzy, Wanye. Now, man, look, this Eberflus thing, I'm telling you right now, I'm not giving him 6 or 7 games.
Nah.
I'm not.
After
Mm-mm,
this, we was gonna give him 4 or 5, but after the
mm-mm,
preseason, man, I'm like, nah, man. This
mm-mm.
is looking real Mike Nolanish. And to me, it's just like like I said, I think the first game is gonna be fool's gold. I think everybody hyping up the Eagles. I think that they're gonna come out here. I think the Eagles gonna look bad. And and I think that we gonna squeak one by them.
I think the opposite. I think the Eagles are going to be ready, and we're going to be rusty from
Everybody's
that
talking
point
about
on.
how the Eagles is like not looking good. And
Well,
all they positions are all of them banged up. AJ Brown probably not gonna even play, and if he do play, he gonna be on account. It's just like fantasy told us that. So
you're gonna have the Super Bowl hangover.
well, they
Uh,
not. I just don't think that they gonna be. This is gonna be Saquon. This is a guy that's had season-ending injuries twice in his career. I just don't think that it's gonna be like they want it to be. I don't think he gonna be. I don't. I'm gonna just say that. I don't think it's gonna be like people think it's gonna be. I'm gonna put it like that. And I
Well, are you
think
gonna
that
be able to stop the run?
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, because here's the thing: stopping the run to me, it's just like that. Stopping the run. Are you gonna be able to stop the run? Totally relies on and goes hand in hand with who's winning and win in the game. You know,
Mm,
that's
yeah.
that's what it
So
has
you're
to go up
saying it's
against.
really contingent on our offense putting up some points,
Correct,
but
because I mean,
I
like, because
think
it's
our
like
offense is gonna be rusty though,
I don't.
'cause they haven't played.
Well, they've been playing and practicing. Sometimes you don't have to be rusty. You want to ask Emmett, was he rusty when he came off of his 2 game holdout? He wasn't rusty. He was just the best. So it's just like you just good if you good, and CD and Dak they just good because they're good. It ain't really nothing to do with that. And then on top of that, it's just like Tyler Smith he's just good because he's good. And BB they're just good. It doesn't really need no whole bunch of we don't need all this. But my thing is like this. Um, yeah, when you look at the Eagles games last year that we played them last year or the year before that, you ask yourself, could the Cowboys stop the run last year? They could not. Could they stop the run last year? The week before in the game the season before last, they could not. But they beat the Eagles. You know why they beat the Eagles when Dak was healthy is because I mean they just beat them because we outscored them and we went up on them. And so running the ball, it's just like how many we can't stop the run. So how do we beat teams then? It's just like last year. We couldn't stop the run when we played Washington. They had a great running attack with Jaden Daniels, but I mean, but we beat them. I mean, it's just kind of like, you
Zim
know,
had a Zim scheme. It was designed to stop Washington. He was very good
so
scheme.
to me,
Just
it's just like you can say, can you stop the run? But then you be like, yeah, this team can't stop the run, but this other team got 56 yards. Like Saquon got like 56 yards the first time we played them. So it's just like, yeah, we can't stop the run, but I don't think we can stop the run when it's like when it's like 27-27 going into the last drive of the game and 20, or when the game is close and and you have to stop the run. You know what I mean? It's like or like when they're up by 2 touchdowns or something like that, or by a touchdown, and now they finna start just running, running, running. I don't think you can stop it then. But are you
mm,
gonna lose every game because you can't stop the run? No. It's gonna be several games where the other team is not gonna be in a position to
fam,
run. You say what?
get that on the couch.
You say what? Oh, I thought you talking. Okay. And it's the 2023 formula outscore people, which will take away the other team's running game. That's exactly what it is, and we gonna have a lot of games like that to where we just gonna outscore people and they not gonna need to run the ball. It's just like that big time. I was telling my dad that's what would make me mad about McCarthy. He knew this that was the formula for us to beat teams, and then instead of on a high power offense, he would win a toss and then elect to receive the ball after the kickoff. It's just like, bruh, why would you? Why wouldn't you just take the ball if you know we need to go up? It's just like, why would you put us down like that? Now it's the first quarter and we down 10-0. It's just like that doesn't make any
He
sense.
did he did it in the playoff game against the 49ers. They went right down the field.
It's like, come on, bro. We supposed to, that we're going that we need to be up. So why would you do that? Like, why would you like, what we're good at and what we're bad at, but you play to what we're bad at instead of playing to what we're good
So
at.
tell
Just
big
like
time we got a
makes no
research
sense.
project. Is it the front office it does not want a one tech, or is it
Yeah,
Eberflus that doesn't care about one tech? We got to
right.
research that.
We got to research that because we thought it was Dan Quinn that didn't care about linebackers, but it wasn't
Yeah, it was the
because
front
as soon
office
as
that
he
didn't want
because
to pay Bobby Wagner.
right because as soon as he got to Washington and they opened up the checkbook, he signed Bobby Wagner first.
And there were some high
So
quality one techs that got released today. And so, have you heard anything about Holden and Fairweather making it back to the practice squad, or is the practice squad going to be announced tomorrow?
I think the practice squad gonna be announced tomorrow, but Holden's not gonna make it to the practice squad. That's what he was
Man, it's
probably
just
better than Tez in college. Big time say that's the front office.
the front office that doesn't want to win tech.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm echoing now, so
All right, we'll wrap. So we just doing a little ad lib show, doing dog sitting and
yeah,
not probably quality content, but we'll get back on it.
yeah, ain't no big deal. We'll get back on it, and it was a good show. So appreciate you
Like and
big time
subscribe.
for watching and being a part of the show. You're an integral part of the show for sure. Um, Shout out to you, Swain, and everybody else that was a part of the show that watched with us. Uh, and so y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And I'd be surprised if he makes it to practice squad. Shout out to you, Big Chank. Yeah, I would be surprised if Holden make it to the practice squad. I mean,
Fair weather too.
yeah, the Schoon part and the Tolbert part.
Stone Tober, come on, man.
Yeah, so after when they mess up something like Schoon and Tolbert, you can just cancel out the whole position after that. Everybody after Schoon, if Schoon made it, somebody that was supposed to make it after him did not make it. And if Tolbert didn't get traded, then somebody after him that was supposed to make it did not make it. So
Yeah.
so y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Salute to you, Big Time Show. And